Silent Hill 2 was a survival horror game that was released by Konami in the year 2001. Naturally speaking, after the success of the original, it was only common to bank on what's next. There was no way this psychological money train was going to stop if Konami had any say-so whatsoever. After all, a little birdie called Citation will firmly mention this. Konami's stake in this choice was purely from a financial standpoint, which gave Team Silent another shot at the big time. Thus, a window of opportunity opened once more when the team decided on their console exclusive choice. The Sony PlayStation 2 quickly came into mind for Team Silent's development. The PlayStation 2 was the current market focus, and I really don't blame Konami for this decision. It had some amazing support, and a freaking DVD player was inside the package for dirt cheap. That method alone was good enough for a lot of people. Work then formulated on the game in terms of enhancing the sheer tension. This console gave this franchise power on a more significant scale. Shadows can now be used in creative ways. In the darkness, you'll see your light shine across the darkened environment, highlighting monsters, walls, fences, etc. That alone added a touch of realism that seemed unrivaled during the time. The volumetric fog was also greatly enhanced, which felt like there was a bigger opposing force in the town itself. More inspirations were drawn from Alone in the Dark and works from Junji Ito. The idea was simple: breed evil from within. Let's extract darkness from the inside of these characters as a deep, tormented reflection on the world around us. The story of Silent Hill 2 simply begins with a letter. James Sunderland, the titular character, receives this letter from his wife. There's just one teensy little problem with this predicament. Mary Shepard Sunderland has been complete fertilizer for the past 3 years. You know what they say, dead people can't tell no tales. This complete and utter confusion only causes James to be called to Silent Hill. His prompt discovery basically accepts this quest, even thinking to himself that Mary Shepard Sunderland might not even be here. As he subconsciously questions himself in the mirror, you could tell there's some extreme delusion that hides under a mask. We press through the roadway, and there's even more symbolism that takes place where James is pulled into chaos. It's the point of no return for this man, and the town itself has already decided upon this. We meet a character in the graveyard seeking her lost parents before moving on to the main street, the main quest. Bloody streaks then appear all over the blacktop. This is when fear takes hold as abnormalities settle within the place of silent spirits. A flesh-ridden monstrosity then attacks James, and it looks like it's covered in flesh and a straitjacket. Once it gets like planked in the head by Johnny 2x4, James then questions if it's dead. Once we do a large time skip, a large fast forward involving hotel tribulations, we see that James meets a woman by the pier. Her name is called Maria, who is a dead ringer to Mary Shepard Sunderland. I didn't get it the first time around. I would say this is the biggest signal that something is amiss. You believe it's a case of mistaken identity, right? But that's not what the town wants you to believe. You see, James was brought into Silent Hill under the guise of twisted machinations. It's a never-ending loop of personal torment, because later in the story we see that James actually killed his wife due to her terminal illness. This is the big proponent that links between past and present. As they illustrate perfectly in the story, they needed James to punish himself, for he is the one who committed this one heinous sin. It's an inner crisis involving conflict, self-loathing, hatred, lust, death, and selfishness. This is all poured into one cyanide cocktail. This is one of the most symbolic, creepy, masterful, and downright depressing stories ever told in the realm of survival horror games. It's almost like the Torment is headed in multiple directions and you're trying to desperately find out what exactly is going to happen, one grim final destination after the other. This involves sprawlings on the wall, erratic messages about James going to hell, suicide, etc. Mary's presence is felt symbolically throughout the whole experience. The delusions start getting weirder when Mary's letter disappears in the story with all the text sprawled on it, and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell is going on? And that's the beauty of psychological horror. It's a stark reminder of the monster within ourselves. These same people, these same monsters also show themselves when other characters come into the picture. The game implies the worst situations from people who are affected by rape, bullying, and the temptation that involves violence. These are complex and horrific stories that Silent Hill feeds onto like a vulture from the sky. James's Punisher is a lot more outward in Pyramid Head. This involves even more creatures in Silent Hill representing what is in James's twisted mind. They either stem from needing an executioner or being lustful bodies all over the place. And there's some topics of sexual frustration with the nurses and everything because James was possibly looking at them while Mary was on her deathbed. This can be interpreted in a variety of ways, and this is the heart of the story. That's not to say that there isn't so much more endless lore that I can't talk about on the town of Silent Hill, but I will plug a video that I did where I talked about the entire lore of Silent Hill from start to finish. Either way, in short, this story is phenomenal. There's a reason why it's hailed as one of the most thought-provoking, emotional, and just overall fantastic plots that will test your moral scale every step of the way. The gameplay is once again primarily familiar. It's clunky, and if you played the first one, then this one is more or less similar. There's been some slight fine-tuning with the camera directions, swaying and twisting faster with both triggers to center what's in front of you. You can move and smack monsters with certain melee weapons, and that's pretty good. They took out the bunny hop as well from the first one that didn't do wonders for that iteration, so I doubt being a rabbit on meth really would have helped this title in the slightest. Don't get mad at me for saying this, but I think the gameplay takes a back seat versus presentation or exposition. That's not saying that the gameplay is bad in Silent Hill 2, but it's not as challenging and is not as engaging as the first one either. There's no flying pterodactyls everywhere. There's no big hound dogs or monkeys hunting you in the street. I get it because this game is a lot more methodical in world building. Less is more in their approach, right? Still, it left room for desire, it left room for improvement, and everything felt routine. It's still satisfying to clunk enemies in the head or soak up the rusty, bloody environment. You've probably still been perplexed by playing this game as a previous fan of the last one, and it's very puzzling and confusing and disorienting and fun when going through all of these hellish rooms. Hell, I even think that Silent Hill 1 still had more weapons to play with, which is kind of detrimental because 2 feels like a regression in that department. Either way, I would say there is more options in case you want to experience something a little different in every playthrough and play on your level. That's done through the difficulty options like raising the combat or raising the puzzle challenge. The latter is rewarding and it's a nice addition because you can feel too brain dead at times with Silent Hill puzzles. Let's be honest, this option was not in the first one. I am so happy it's in the second one. Now you can make the game as easy or hard as you want. The graphics, presentation, and sound design really doesn't need an introduction. The haunting score by Akira Yamaoka fills Silent Hill with dread, unease, and serenity when need be. I would say most of the production value here was greatly mastered upon. The graphics are expertly crafted and haunting for the dark, decaying world that the shadows build around James Sunderland. I have to admit, I am feverishly biased for the performances of this game. Sure, it's from 2001, where it was a completely different era of voice acting, so I do agree some of the voice acting here has not really aged too well. You'll have some wonky spots like acting between either James Sunderland or Eddie Dombrowski where they say something completely funny. If you compare this to Metal Gear, then it feels like a whole different beast. That being said, if they were going for a more surrealistic tone, then I think they succeeded when shit finally hits the fan in this game. The actors almost feel like aliens in human skin, foreign human skin, when the creep factor is turned up to 11. That's when I really appreciated the voice acting in this one, because it almost felt like everyone was in a dream state, and that's normal for Silent Hill. Nothing is real, and the very fabric of reality is being questioned between these characters. Every gut punch was executed and perfectly understood, conveyed with surgical precision. The read from Mary's letter is probably one of the most crippling reads that I ever heard in a video game. Phenomenal talent of people who put their heart, soul, and blood into making this world possible. In conclusion, I have small nitpicks about the weapon regression, maybe even some of the more brilliant and sometimes spotty acting. I won't lie to you. I can't lie, and I will not lie about my thoughts. Silent Hill 2 is a complete masterpiece from top to bottom. It takes true fear and ignites it on a level that I never really seen up until that point. I am 3 playthroughs in with this game, and I am 100% mesmerized by every single minute detail that they put into this project. You will be engrossed, you will be grossed out, and you will feel something for the people involved with this plight, with their own crumbling mental state. Having played it already like 3 times, I can say that it will go down as one of the best and surrealistic horror experiences I ever had in my life. I give Silent Hill 2 a 10 out of 10. This is Renegade Operative signing off. Hopefully you guys really enjoy this video, this review on Silent Hill 2. Do yourself a favor, if you haven't played Silent Hill 2 already, grab a copy somewhere and then go to the Town of Silent Hill website and download the enhanced edition. It's a very great effort, a very great sort of collab, I want to say, with a lot of people, modders, who try to make this thing the best port that it possibly could be, because we didn't get that from Konami. But hey, here's hoping, since they have a Silent Hill conference coming up sometime tomorrow at the time of this recording. Until then, you can find all my social media in the description below. You can check me out on Discords. I have like a survival horror Discord and a geek culture Discord, 2 Discords for the flavor of horror and non-horror alike, so check that out. I also have social medias like Twitter, Instagram, fuck Facebook, because I keep getting locked out and it's so annoying. But I have all that stuff down there, gamer tags, all that stuff, and I'm not a hard man to find or reach out for anything. So I will be definitely taking off into the fog, and maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't, I don't know. I will come back though. Woo! I cannot wait until I get into more games of the series with reviews, analysis, and just completely digesting and breaking down everything Silent Hill on this channel. Thank you for watching, take care of yourselves, And once again, peace out. Later.